Hi and welcome to my FB Live. My name is Mugdha. If you don't know who I am already, I'm also live on YouTube at the same time. And today I am not going to be talking about health. What I am going to be talking about is a subject that's so dear to my heart that the first time I actually approached this topic or tried my hand with it or experimented with it, I was just 4 years old. To those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, I am speaking about what it takes, the courage that you need to really become an entrepreneur. Now, I have been an entrepreneur with Thrive for the last 3 years. Even before that, I had tried my hand with probiotics. I had this company called Gut Instincts. Uh, Probiotics, fermented beverages, something like that. Before that, I had tried to launch a parenting coaching company. So I have had a lot of failures with being an entrepreneur, and it's with Thrive that I'm seeing quite a bit of success. And I've often had a lot of people who've pinged me, who asked me, especially young students from my own alma mater, from my college, sometimes people from the Thrive Tribe. And there are a lot of people I know who want to start off their own businesses, who have this dream of doing something for themselves. And I just wanted to address those questions, right? So, see, here's the thing. A lot of people, like I ask people, even when we interview candidates, there are a lot of people who come to us and say that, I'm looking for a job right now to kind of meet my financial needs. But maybe a couple of years from now, I want to launch my own business. And when I ask them why they want to do this, like why? So anything anybody ever tells me, the first question I ask them is why. So when I ask people why do they want to launch their own company, their own business, often I hear the answer that is financial freedom, and that's an excellent, super great goal to have. I don't doubt it. And then sometimes people say that, oh, I'm very good at this, that's why I want to launch that as a business. That's good as well, but not always something that you're good at might really be something that someone wants to buy. Okay, so uh, entrepreneurship is not for the faint-hearted. Now, the primary lesson that I've learned, the number one lesson that I've learned in attempting to be an entrepreneur since the tender young age of 4, is that you need courage. You need the heart of a lioness. You cannot even tread on the path of entrepreneurship if you don't have courage in your heart. And I'll tell you why you need to have courage. Okay, so first, let's say you come up with this beautiful idea that here is something that you have that is going to be of immense value to the rest of humanity. All right, you have this beautiful idea, you dreamt of it, you sat, like you got this idea in a meditation. Somebody from your family told you something. I don't care where that idea came from, but it came to you and you were inspired by it and you felt like doing something about it. Great, good for you. I'm so happy for you. Now, taking that idea and implementing it and manifesting it and making sure it's actually a product or a service somebody is willing to pay you for, that's where the challenge really begins. Because while a lot of people might encourage you, very few people are willing to part with their money unless you have a compelling story around your idea. So, when I say you need courage, what I really mean, so if you look at the word courage, the root of the word courage itself comes from the Greek or the Latin word for love, right? So when you say you need courage, what you need is extreme, unapologetic, all encompassing love, not just for yourself, but for your idea that you're bringing out in the world. So when you have that, even if somebody rejects your idea the first time, even if somebody says no to it, even if somebody says you're a fool to think of even doing this, you will have the temperance and the patience to figure out what didn't work the first time, make tweaks, make changes, and then pivot and then create something that might be of value to someone. So, this is where courage comes in, right? That resilience that you need to ensure that your idea actually becomes a viable business needs extreme levels of courage from you. And if you're somebody who quits, who gives up, who feels sad on rejection, entrepreneurship is not the journey for you, because one thing that you really have to be prepared for is loads and loads of rejection. I am not joking about this. Even at Thrive, I mean, now we work with hundreds of people, right? We really help hundreds of people solve their health problems. But the number of people who still say no to Thrive is really higher than the number of people who said yes to Thrive. It really is. Now, that doesn't mean that what I am doing is not of value, right? Because I have these hundreds of people who've come to us and who've seen results, who've brought in their friends, who've brought in their loved ones, who've brought in their parents and their children and, their far-flung cousins and relatives. And all of these people have come and become part of the Thrive Tribe because these people got something that was of value to them. So just because there are many other people who rejected my service, my idea, my product doesn't mean it's not viable. So one is, if you start only looking at the rejections, you are going to lose your zest for continuing with your business. Okay, so having the courage to deal with rejections, looking for answers, looking for that moment of truth, trying to find out why was it rejected, and then using that information to improve your services and your products is something that an entrepreneur should really do all of the time. Where else do you need courage? Well, what happens to best laid plans, right? So you could have plans, you could have projections, you could have like a ton of the best project management softwares and all the Excel sheets and all the protocols absolutely templated and put in place. And then something like 2020 could happen to your business, which is unpredictable, which none of us had control over. It was the government and their policies that just came zoom and swooshed down on so many businesses. So, if you don't have the ability to be prepared for unseen, unwarranted delays, again, you're going to lose your heart, okay? And this is where courage becomes important. And I'm saying this from somebody who experienced what it felt like to even contemplate the thought of closing down my business. So in August, we really went through a tough time in Thrive. Obviously, the pandemic was, I mean, the lockdowns are happening. People were really being, very wary of where they were putting their money in. So that one didn't do so well for us financially. We have a team. I was thinking of salaries, and then I thought, like, there's an entire set of beautiful people who come on board Thrive. They've joined in to fulfill their career ambitions. And if I can't even take care of their salaries, what am I doing as an entrepreneur? So I really had this thought of closing down the business and, like, just going back to a solopreneur mode. And thankfully, the team believed in the vision. Um, the tribe believed in the vision, our clients believed in the vision, and I continued to hold on to that vision like it was a life raft, my rubber boat, my life jacket, everything combined in one. And that again gave us the courage to continue to, plow on, like go back, work deep in the trenches, do whatever it takes to make sure the business thrives again. And here we are. We are now looking at, like, our valuation has gone up. We're looking at the next round of funding. So it's been quite phenomenal what courage at that point of time, when you think of shutting down everything and then you find this little reserve of one voice in you that says, hey, you know what, tomorrow is another day, let's try tomorrow again. And you use that voice as your guiding lamp, and from there it just goes on. Where else would you need courage in being an entrepreneur? Of course, in setting standards in terms of what you want out of your team, how you want the team to look like, what the culture should be like. Because if you don't stand for the culture in your organization, nobody is going to. And often, see, for us, for me in Thrive, the first thing that I did, even before I told recruiters that I want to hire a team, is I worked on the vision and the values that the company will always, so the vision is what's like driving us forward towards what our goals are. The values are what tells us how we are going to do this. So for me, the 10 values that we have at Thrive, they're there on the website. They are non-negotiable, and they are pretty radical values. They are not easy values to abide by. You really have to let go of a lot of your baggage, a lot of drama, and, stay focused on what is expected of you at work. Now, if I didn't stand for these values, like the guardian of the culture, the guardian of the vision, the values would have been trampled over, and Team Thrive wouldn't have been the amazing team that it is now. And to do that, you need courage again. Because sometimes you have to become the bad guy there. You really have to, or the bad girl, or Kali, or Durga, or whatever that name you might be called. But you have to sometimes become this bitch boss, just so that the standards that you know are important for you are upheld and, respected by everyone within the team. So that's where you need courage again. And that courage comes from a deep, deep love for what you want your company to be. Where else would you need courage? Of course, if there are a lot of businesses that say customer is king, customer is always right, and no matter what, the customer will always be taken care of. We don't do that at Thrive. So one of our values is stellar customer service. We really, really go beyond to make sure that our clients, our patients, our customers get the best that we can give. But we value ourselves tremendously, and our ability to guard our boundaries and hold our boundaries sacrosanct and make sure that we are not being abused by our customers is something that needs tremendous, tremendous courage, because sometimes that's a deciding factor between revenue, like whether this is going to add to the revenue or not. And as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, you're always thinking of revenue, you're always thinking of how to increase profits and margins and all of that. And sometimes now, because you want to make sure that the values that you care about how you are respected, how you're treated, how your team is treated, how they are made to feel while they are in the company, that is far more important than money. You really need courage there as well, right? Where else do you need courage as an entrepreneur? So when you fail, right? So we succeed 99% of the time, but 1% there is failure, and that 1% failure sometimes really, really hurts us, because people have trusted us with their health and we haven't been able to solve the case. But then, if you have courage, you won't allow that failure to overwhelm you, and you won't just decide that, oh, it's time to close shop because I failed at one thing. You will have the courage to go on and continue to do the good work that you've been doing. So that's another place where you need courage. Where else? Just the fact that so I think the other place where I needed a lot of courage, this is from my personal experience, this might not really be everyone's story, is I was not really raised in an entrepreneurial family. I was not even raised in a family where women's careers were really of prime importance. It was a secondary option. It was only okay if you could do it without really neglecting the household and your kids and everything, right? Like the family and the kids were more important than your career. So for me to break out of that mold and to create this life for myself actually required far more courage than a lot of other entrepreneurs might need, because I was willing to even get ostracized by my family. I didn't really give a damn if I was part of whatever the family was doing and not, as long as I knew I was born on this planet to fulfill a purpose, which is to help people heal. And I was not going to let anything stand in my way, right? So sometimes you really have to be willing to let go of the things that might come in the way of you fulfilling your dream as an entrepreneur. Because if you let other people's drama, other people's conditioning, other people's ideas of how you should be or who you should be determine whether you can actually start a business, run a company on your own or not, you are setting up yourself. You're setting yourself up for failure. That is a guarantee. You have to own your mind, and you have to own what you're going to do with your time. You cannot let somebody else be the deciding factor there. Where else do you need courage if you are going to be an entrepreneur? I think that kind of covers what my learnings have been so far. One of the values that I really prize and put a lot of importance on is being radically honest. And again, to have that level of transparency, that level of honesty, you need to have intrinsic courage, right? Because when you make a mistake and you go public and you announce that honestly, that okay, this was a mistake, the kind of trolling that's going to happen is going to be insane. So to have the courage to be able to do that, again, I think is a very important thing. But I mean, that's again my personal approach to it and how I think courage has helped me there as well. Why is being an entrepreneur really important? I think if I could learn one thing in my childhood, I would have loved to learn this. Okay. See, what happens is when you decide to become an entrepreneur, when you decide to start a company that offers a product or a service to another human being, you really have to start thinking deeply about the rest of humanity. So you go out of your I, me, myself drama and you start thinking about others. You start thinking about the problems that are impacting others and you start thinking of what solutions you can offer. So it really goes beyond yourself. You start thinking of the world as a whole. You start thinking of things that are impacting people. You start thinking of how you could offer solutions. So your brain switches from being stuck in small things to starting to look at things from a larger, bigger perspective. Your consciousness expands, and thereby your knowledge, your intellect, your ability to look at life, to form different perspectives, all of that expands, right? So there is literally no better way to grow personally than to like just start a company. It's a party. I'm telling you, you wouldn't even need alcohol or anything else to get high. Just start a company. You'll get everything you need from there. The other thing is like apart from what it does and pushes you, like how it pushes you to grow as a human being, I think the financial independence it offers, not necessarily security, not necessarily stability. It takes a while for financial security and stability to come in when you started off your business, but the independence that it offers, right? So you are not dependent on a mommy employer or you're not dependent on a daddy government for your funds. You own the money you are making because of the time and the energy you're putting towards making that money, and nobody gets to decide how that is going to be given out to you, right? So that financial independence, that you are doing something for the pure pleasure and joy of doing it because you feel extremely fulfilled, because you can sleep really well in the night, that joy that you get from doing the work you do, and then not having anyone else to determine how much you should get paid for that, I think that level of financial independence that comes is one of the beautiful aspects of being an entrepreneur. Um, what else? I think that's about it. That's all I wanted to talk about. I don't really want to do long live sessions. I know everyone's attention span is really low these days. It's Friday evening, and if you're watching this later, then even if it's not Friday evening, I think this is what I wanted to say. If there are any questions that you have, or if there are any thoughts you want to share, please put them out in the comments. I love responding to comments. I do that personally, even if it's on Thrive's page. If it's on YouTube as well, I'll do that. But just talk to me. I really love interacting, and entrepreneurship is a very, very close subject to my heart. I was saying this, right? The first time I tried my hand at it was I was 4 years old. I wanted to set up a factory for Vicks. Okay, Vicks, you know, that blue dabba thing that you get, that you apply when you have a cold. So when I was growing up in Whitefield, it was literally like a village. We had a lot of eucalyptus trees, and my cousin and I had this brilliant idea that, you know, if we could just take the leaves, boil them in water, and then keep that water out in the sun for drying. After some time, all the water would evaporate, and what would be left is like the eucalyptus oil, which is basically Vicks. That is what we thought Vicks was made of. And then we thought of finding all empty bottles of Vicks from our neighbors and like from my own house. And we thought we'll fill this. And then if Vicks was selling for 50 rupees, we'll sell our Vicks for 4 rupees. Okay, so we were pretty smart in terms of how we wanted to cut the market. Our idea didn't work, unfortunately, because the big branch that my cousin and I had found on the side of the road, my dad told me, hey, why don't we leave this branch here for now? When we come back from our walk, we can go pick it up. And we listened to him, we left the branch there, and then surprisingly, my dad took us off on a completely different route, and then both of us forgot about that branch. So that was my first tryst as an entrepreneur, which I failed miserably in the first 15 minutes itself. But it's fun. Entrepreneurship is fun. It teaches you all sorts of things. It shows you dimensions of your personality that you might not know of. It shows you a lot of your insecurities and your fears, and there is really no better way to work on your own personal growth. I really love what I'm doing, and so one of my goals sometime in the next 10 years is to teach 10 other women how to become entrepreneurs. If you're watching this sometime in the future, and if you have an idea of your own that you want to kind of bring out into the world, reach out to me and let's see what we can do with you. All right. Bye bye. Thank you so much. And I am going to end this live right now.